So Alex wins the award for the first 10,000 swing challenge of the new year. A few months ago, after successfully completing the 10,000 swing challenge with 32K, I decided to try something new and made an attempt at kettlebell juggling with the 16. This was fun and educational, but unsupervised and enthusiastic. I got myself a light whiplash injury in one of several instances of catching the kettlebell falling at a high velocity in a position where I should have known better not to. You know, I remember when kettlebells first came out, one of the most common things people would do was kettlebell juggling. It was, the first kettlebell instruction I ever got, and thank you, JJ and Matt McNamara, wherever you are now, thank you. We spent a lot of time doing kettlebell juggling, which is interesting because I didn't learn the swing at that time. For a couple of months, any swings or any high acceleration movements were a no-go for me. So I leaned on goblet squats, presses, and banded push-ups. Oh, I like that. Now I can do an occasional 100 to 150 swings, but they bring no joy to me anymore. This is sad. This is one of the saddest. I'm getting emotional here. However, often they bring some residual dizziness. Low dizziness may appear even after a high volume cleans during ABC or clean and press. I was wondering, is it possible to have a holistic training program with kettlebells without swing movements? I'm sure during your work with young athletes, you've encountered that kind of injury quite a few times. What are your usual workarounds? Well, first off, Alex, I don't know how to say this, but for a while, the swing was the epicenter of the kettlebell world. And then it became the kettlebell snatch. And then it became the cult of the Turkish get-up. For a lot of us, and I'm not a crowd, I always thought one of the best things you can do with kettlebells is clean and press. And if you did doubles, clean and press and double kettlebell front squat are my favorite. Someone should write a workout, maybe call it the Armor Building Complex, and maybe write a book called the Armor Building Formula. I love those. Obviously, I love the kettlebell goblet squat because, I invented it. So there you go. And I think for most of the people I work with, if you focus on the clean, the press, and the front squat, all your dreams come true. I'll be over on some of the forums, and people keep doing form checks on their swings. And I don't often comment because by the time I get to it, there are 1,000 pieces of information and very often contradict each other. So yeah, I think you can have a really good kettlebell life without doing swings. Now, if you come to my workshop, I have one called Bounce, and I have another one. I'm doing, and it just dropped out of my head, but I'm putting together a booklet for it. And I love making booklets, books and booklets. And I have this thing called my movement matrix. Alex, for you, I always take people back to the glute bridge, which is also known. The glute bridge is the isometric hip thrust. I love the glute bridge. I love the hip thrust. They are swings, especially if you do them the way we do at my gym, where we use a resistance band. So, in fact, there's pictures all over the internet of me having people do hip thrusts where I'm actually, their hands are like this, and I'm pulling their hands towards their head, and they're fighting back. So in my gym, when I'm doing hip thrusts, I have rubber bands connected to the stripper pole. And when I'm doing my hips thrusts, the stripper pole is vertical, the band is horizontal. I'm pulling that this way. I think the hip thrust with the abdominal pull is probably as good. Well, let me just say that it's better than most of the swings I see people do. So glute bridge, the isometric, the hip thrust with the ab pull. From there, I have a couple of things I teach at workshops. And they're on my YouTube channel. The Romanian deadlift stretch, the waiter's bow, and the Bulgarian goat bag swing. I'm not sure how long it's going to take you to build up to those, but I would suggest the hip thrust, the glute bridge at first until you're feeling very comfortable with these other issues. But if it doesn't come around, Alex, if the clean, the press, and the squat family are working for you, just keep doing that. I think they're marvelous. You know, I prepared for my first kettlebell cert by doing the rite of passage with a 28 kilo bell, and I just did clean and press, snatch every workout. Not long ago, I went back to my notes, which is, it's my journal from 2006, and I realized that I wasn't doing very many swings because I wasn't afraid of the swings at the cert. I was afraid of the snatch test. And of course, if you're snatching the 28 kilo bell, 3 days a week, when you get to the test and you're using the 24, you have a lot of confidence. I remember emailing Pavel about 3 weeks before the cert, and this is back when we were a lot crazier, folks. He had this idea of doing snatches with an oven mitt on, so I passed the snatch test under 5 minutes with oven mitt, with the 28K with oven mitts. Well, I was pretty sure that I would pass the snatch test with the 24. In fact, Missy, who was my assistant who was counting for me, she asked me, because once I got to the number, I just kept going. And the reason I kept going is it felt great to get that rhythm of the snatch. My first RKC cert, I was so confused about the swing. Brett Jones took me aside and helped me. But even now, even though I am the champion of the 10,000 swing challenge, for a lot of people, it's just not an exercise. That they don't do it well, and there's issues. And folks, we always go back to Steve Bacardi's great insight. If people can't pick it up in 15 minutes, move on to something else. Okay? I hope that helped. Thank you.